All right, it's Bill here. Here's my thoughts on a 5-4 win for the Toronto Maple Leafs in Game 1 to take a 1-0 series lead over the Florida Panthers. And obviously there's one huge talking point that I will get into in just a second. However, how did I feel about the game? The core, I can't put Janet anywhere near a core 4. So the core 3 of Matthews, Marner, and Nylander, one of them showed up tonight, and that was William Nylander. Mitchie Batana, for the most part, hid in the game, and he gets credit for this nice pass off the boards, but I didn't think he was very good, and I thought Austin Matthews was meh. But let's get into the goals at the beginning. First of all, now I'm going to just apologize here. I'm a little tired. So the reason being, unfortunately, I did my video last night, and then the power went out about halfway through my video. Power stayed out for quite a while here in Curtis, Ontario. And so then I had to get up early in the morning to film this video. So I probably would have been a little bit more ornery last night because I realized I'm the Scotty too rotten of friggin' darts. So yeah, that was a tough one. And then, of course, the power out. I get up in the morning, so you can imagine I'm all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed today. And then having to go through the nonsense that is the Sam Bennett Florida Panthers. But I'll get into that in just a second. So, again, running on a little bit of fumes here. But if you talk about the Leafs were not running on fumes. They were running fantastic at the beginning. Max Pacioretty, the pretty boy. A little forecheck. Round the boards, William Nylander takes the puck, goes down the boards, and I don't know how that went in, but I'm glad that Sergei Bobrovsky thinks he's Vasilevsky. I'm very happy about that. And in the net it goes to make it 1-0, and then the Leafs shortly after that nearly scored right away. I thought the Leafs played that was the best first period I've seen the Leafs play in the entire playoffs. That was fantastic. And then the second goal is Max Pacioretty throwing the puck at the net. Big rebound by Bobrovsky, and then Nylander does what Nylander does. I mean, I didn't really like Nylander's game post the second period, but he showed up. That was amazing play. Makes it 2-0. And Max Pacioretty with 2 assists, and then, okay. We can get into the penalty power plays. Yes, the Leafs had more power plays than Florida. Absolutely did. 5-3. The Leafs, took up too many men on the ice. Penalty, we'll talk about that. But okay, but Brad Marchand, this is classic. This is why Mini Domi takes a penalty on Brad Marchand for doing absolutely nothing. Now you could argue there's one call. I forget who was on for the Florida Panthers. I don't think he really did much. Not that one. I think it's this one, Uvis Belinskis or whatever it was. However, that was not a penalty, and you could just tell right away where this series is going. Brad Marchand's got such a reputation of being such a nice, skilled, doesn't get involved after the whistle kind of player. Like, he's just a very strict, right down the lines player. So someone goes and visits him, they get a 2-minute cross-checking when actually Marchand did the cross-check. Watch the play. Marchand did the cross-check. And with his cross-check, I don't think he deserved a penalty. However, somehow Mini Domi gets a penalty. But the Leafs are about to kill it off. They had a great kill. And then Seth Jones buries one to make it 2-1. But shortly after that, Nylander with a beauty pass to Morgan Haley. And really, that was a shoot all the way, and I was scared he was going to pass it, but he shot it. Fantastic. And now you're at 3-1. And then I'll go through the goals first before I go through the nonsense. Then you had Chris Tanev with a knuckleball. I mean, I don't know. Was that Tim Wakefield who threw that pitch? Phil Niekro? That was an awesome knuckleball. Hits the ice. Like, throw the knuckleball, hit the ice. Beautiful bounce. Puts it by Bobrovsky up 4-1. And all of a sudden, as you all know, and I'll get into it after, Joseph Woll goes into the net, makes a couple big saves before the end of the period. You feel bad for him. He's coming in pretty cold at that point. But he made the saves, and then you start off the third period, and the third period started off poorly. And let's face facts, Scotty T. was rotten. He was back to being rotten. He was good in the Ottawa series. That line was rotten tonight. -3, Scotty. As I said, I'm a Scotty Rotten at darts, so I know how he feels. However, nice tip-in goal. Really can't blame Wall for that. The third one was scored by Uvis Balinskis. It was a nice play. The third line for the Florida Panthers dominated. What is that, third line or our fourth line? I don't know what it is. But their third line's got what? Brad Marchand, Listerinen, and Lundell on it. That's a pretty damn good third line. It's much better than any third line we're throwing out there. But they made it 4-3, so it's starting to feel a little bit bad. And Chief Craig Strombo takes the timeout. And after that timeout, the Leafs looked better. I don't know what Chief Strombo's doing, but I'll have some of it, sir. It's beautiful. The Leafs react, they respond, and then you get the Matthew Knies breakaway goal, and yes, Sam Bennett scores off 2 sticks to make it 5-4, but the Leafs hang on to win 5-4. Now, I went through that game pretty quickly because obviously, I thought the Leafs played decently. That way better than expected. I thought the Leafs defense was great again. Carlo was eating up pucks tonight. It was nice to watch. I thought, again, the top boys, Nylander played a couple of good periods. Meh for Matthews, and scared chicken for Boitano. And then I thought the rest of the players played decently, other than the rotten line didn't have a very good night. But then we get into Sam Bennett. Now, first, before I get into why Sam Bennett gets to do what he does, I'm going to first talk. Okay, someone explain this to me, because I'm a friggin' idiot. When did Paul Maurice get a friggin' personality? Paul Maurice used to coach the Toronto Maple Leafs back when Andrew Raycroft's glove was blowing up, okay? First of all, you know what Paul Maurice reminds me of? He's seen as this, awesome guy. You know what he reminds me of? It's like if there was a cross, if you could take the DNA off Napoleon Dynamite and Corky, that kid from Life's Good or whatever it was. What was the name of the show? Life Goes On. Corky. If you took Corky and you put Napoleon Dynamite, you get Paul Maurice. I'm going to call him Corky Maurice. When did he get a personality? Oh, the ref was right there to see it. When you coached the Leafs, pal, you had the personality of Sling Blade. Oh, Andrew Raycroft's stick blew up. Mm-hmm. Oh, Jason Allison can't skate. Mm-hmm. He had no personality, nothing. You're a joke. Oh, by the way, someone who said that the chair creaks, you know why it creaks? Because there's a fat ass sitting on it, okay? No WD-40 in the world's going to solve my fat ass. So I'm sorry about the creaking. Maybe I can get an editor. Corky Maurice comes out. This guy. The ref was there. My vantage point wasn't as good as the refs. Okay, so let me get this right. If Bobrovsky would have took that elbow, I'm sure he would have said, well, the ref had the proper. You're an idiot. I know you have to protect your players. I got that part, Paul. I'm not stupid. But to come out, yeah, it was my fault. It's coach's fault. I'll be lucky to coach another game. You're pathetic. Personality. When did you get it? Was it Winnipeg? I know Winnipeg's a horrible city to live in. So, is that when you got your personality? When you were, Portage in Maine, 50 below? What are you doing over there? You certainly didn't have this personality with the Leafs. The Leafs at that time, 2006, 2007, didn't play with this prison rule mentality that you got. Throw a whole bunch of cheap shot artists on the ice and see what happens. And of course, now in the NHL, no one's put up with it. So I don't even really blame Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett is Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett is who he is. Now, I love all you Florida fans are going to say, oh, he didn't mean to do it. Yeah, okay. Just like the suplex against Matt Knies. Didn't mean to take his head and ram it on the ice. Just like he did to Brad Marchand, his teammate, last year. The guy just gets into accidental spots. Now, if you believe he didn't put the elbow into his head on purpose, there's like a well, go watch Life Goes On Corky, okay? So the reason why Sam Bennett does it, so first of all, let's call bullcrap. He meant to do it. He meant to do it. He took his elbow, he looked down, and drove his elbow into the head. Do I expect any supplementary discipline? This is the NHL. No, I don't. If you're Nazem Kadri, you're getting like 27 games for that. If you're Tom Wilson, you're getting like 3 or 4 games for that. It's Sam Bennett. What does Sam Bennett do that's so bad? Sam Bennett, does he get suspended ever? Well, he might get a $2,000 fine. From my understanding, Stolarz went out in the ER or in an ambulance, head injury, puking. I'm going to guess that's not good. Now, I love it. It could have been from the shot from the first period. Fuck, Elliot Friedman. Are you stupid? Yeah. Oh, to have the stupidity of these people. How do you get on TV and say something stupid like that? So, an hour after the shot hit him in the mask, that's when he starts puking. Okay. Yeah, it was a shot. It was definitely a shot. It wasn't Sam Bennett laying an elbow into the back of his neck, making his neck whiplash. Yeah, it wasn't that. It was the shot that caused it. This is the NHL we talk about, the apologized league. And the reason why Sam Bennett did it, because he's going to get away with it. And no one's going to do nothing to Sam Bennett. And he's going to sign a big contract. Now, buddy, Sam, stay away from Toronto, bud, because if you do that when you're in Toronto, yeah, you got George Peros and the George Peros is still bitter that Colton Orr handed him his butt and his face fell flat on the ice. And he hasn't taken it, like Morgan really does a cross check. That's like, I don't know, 5 games. But when, someone else cross-check someone, it's like a $5 fine. What the Leafs should do is run Bobrovsky next game. So they obviously there should be so once Sam Bennett probably gets no punishment. What the Leafs should do is, now I'd say put Ryan Reeves, but he doesn't do his job. But maybe you put Kelly Yarncock out there and you just say, hey, Kelly, go to the net and pretend to catch an edge. Like, go as fast as you can, catch an edge, and make sure when you're getting up, come up with the stick and lay it across Bobrovsky's friggin' neck. Knock him out of the series. I wonder what Corky Maurice will say then. Oh, the ref had a greater vantage point. But he tripped on the ice, just like Sam just gets himself into these silly situations that Sam Bennett gets himself in. Oh, we love the guy. We hope he's better. Yeah, you hope he's better. Yeah, that's pretty. That's lovely, bud. That is lovely. Where was this? Where was this when you were in Toronto? Where was this, Corky? When did you have your personality? Here's what will happen. Sam Bennett will get nothing. The Leafs will be... Now, the good thing for the Leafs is Joseph Wall is a good backup. We're on Dennis Hildeby after that. We're in trouble after that. So just let come on. You got Matthew Tkachuk spearing and cross-checking. Mitch Marner at the end of games. Why play? A rule book? Rule book? Nah, rule book. You don't need a rule book. Just go out there and fight everybody. The NHL is a joke. Gary Bettman, it doesn't. I don't even hold, Gary Bettman and George Peros, when it comes to player safety, are on a different level. They don't care about player safety. You just had a brain injury with a guy puking that was completely preventable. And the guy that did it took his elbow, looked down, and threw it into Stolarz. Now, whoever doesn't think he meant to do it, honestly, you're obviously a Florida fan and you're blind. I'm sure if that happened to Bobrovsky, same thing happened, and it was mini domi, you'd be sitting here going, yeah, no, it's fine. And I'd be, you know what? I'm the one guy who would say it's a cheap shot. I remember when friggin' Nick Kyprios fell over Grant Fuhr on purpose. That was a cheap shot. I'll call it. It's a Leaf fan. Whatever. You just keep loving your team. You keep loving Sam Bennett. He just gets in these situations where he can cuss players. It's amazing. He just keeps going around. What I really blame is the NHLPA. Now, you're in a sticky situation. You got to protect both players, but you had a player puking after a brain injury last night, caused by one of your players. And you'll stand up for that player that did it. You're not standing up for the guy who might not play in another game this year. or is going to have concussion that might last into his later in life. No, you stand up for the player that caused that. You pay dues, NHLPA. You pay dues. So someone like Sam Bennett, Brad Marchand, Matthew Tkachuk can go around cross-checking, doing the cheap shots, figuring out how to play hockey. The NHLPA just says that's fine. We don't mind if one of our players gets hurt because we're going to protect the other player. Someone in that NHLPA has to look in the mirror and think that maybe we're protecting the wrong guy. Maybe we should protect our players. I love what Matthew Nye said after the game, because that's the right way. Are you going to protect the players or not? This is the NHL. They won't. The Leafs play on Wednesday. Game 2. Most likely Joseph Woll in net. Maybe the Leafs take this. What I think they should do is run Bobrovsky at all costs. Knock him out of the series, and let's even it up. Let's go Vanacek against Woll. Leafs won't do that. No, they won't do it. But maybe they take this extra and get it in those core 3 players. Well, I can't blame the core 2, Boitano and Matthews. Maybe you show up for Stolar's next game and you dominate a game and get it won. It's crazy. The Leafs are up 1-0, and the majority of us Leaf fans are pissed off. It's crazy, isn't it? Cheers.